Sup, bitches?
You're watching Fugitive Red-Eye, and welcome to another Random Thoughts, Life of Red-Eye. I don't fucking know. Life of Red-Eye is one of my, sub-series of Red-Eye Raw, but this is a story. It just happened, obviously. As you guys know, I recently took a trip. Is this a fucking standalone video? Is this a Random Thoughts? I don't fucking know. Point is, today I'll be talking about the trip I took to Ohio for the last week or so. As you guys have seen, I did do 2 streams while I was up there with Corbin, you know, that was one of the reasons I went there. That wasn't the only reason. There was some family stuff going on up there. There was a graduation in the family, so that's the reason we went up there. Obviously one of the things that clinched me wanting to go was to meet up with Corbin, because, you know, made sense since I would be in Ohio. Now, the trip itself was very mixed. First off, there was 3 days driving up there and 3 days driving back. It's a very long distance, and we're driving like 10 hours a day, basically. How it was me and my brother Kyler were taking my mom's car, whereas my mom was driving the motorhome. We left my car and stuff all at my house. We met up at my mom's house and then went off because we went as a family, which was also a lot cheaper because we stayed in my dad's motorhome rather than getting a motel or hotel, although we will get to that later because there was a motel involved at one point, although I didn't stay there, but anyway, we'll get there. I'm going to try and tell this story somewhat chronologically, but yeah. But yeah, my dad recently got this big-ass new motorhome. It's fucking huge. It's way bigger than any of the other motorhomes he's ever had. And it's pretty fucking cool. It's easily the nicest motorhome he's had, too. We were driving up. First day we're driving about, I don't know, like 4 or 5 hours into the trip. There's an issue with, like an inverter or something, electrical. I'm not the most technical guy when it comes to cars, especially. That delayed us for about an hour while they fixed it. We had to stop, you know, on the side of the road. We had to, for my dad to fix the motorhome. So that was really irritating, having to wait for that to get fixed, and it delayed us a little bit. But nevertheless, we got back on the road after about an hour. The first night, we stopped in a Walmart parking lot. We had to go through quite a few states to get there. Obviously, Utah to Ohio is a pretty big distance. I can't remember for sure what state we stayed in the first night. It might have been Nebraska. I know we stayed in Iowa the second night. But the first night we stayed in a Walmart parking lot, because if you don't know, Walmart will usually let you stay with your RV overnight. That's just something they do. So we stayed there, and then the next night we stayed in a Walmart parking lot again. So those first 2 nights we stayed in Walmart parking lots in the RV, and we just parked the car next to it. On the 3rd night we finally made it to the campground, which the campground we stayed at had a lot of trees. That was really cool, all the trees it had. And they had real shower stuff, so we didn't have to use the motorhome plumbing while we were there. It was cool that they had like a mini golf course, and they had like a pool table and a swimming pool and stuff. I'm gonna be honest, we didn't use any of that shit. Well, I didn't. My brother Trevor did, because this trip was me, my parents, my brother Kyler and Trevor, and then Trevor's dog, Nezuko. Now, Trevor's dog is really fucking hyper and can be a real pain in the ass. Whenever Trevor comes here to... when he brings her over, she's really hyper and annoying and fucking picks fights with my dogs, and my dogs then gang up on her. Point is, she can be really fucking irritating, so I was really worried that she would be annoying. Most of the trip, she was really well behaved. However, she did do something that really pissed me off later in the trip, which we'll get to. But yeah, the issue with this campground, like I said, had a lot of cool trees that were really nice, but the campground itself was really fucking small. While we were at the campground, I spent most of the time in the RV, which will be a running theme in this, and part of the things that really pissed me off on this trip. Because we brought the RV and the car, and, you know, we had planned, you know, to meet up with Corbin. We went to my cousin's graduation, that was, like I said, one of the main things we went up there for. We went to that the second day we were up there. But then we went out to dinner with a lot of my family that was up there, which was nice. The first night we did that, we went to this spaghetti place, or this chili place, rather, called Skyline Chili, which is all over Ohio. I saw a bunch of them up there. They have spaghetti that you put chili on and then cheese. and it's really good, actually. It's fairly cheap, too. But then the second day, we had to go pick up Corbin, and Corbin was a couple hours out from where we were. So we chose a halfway point to meet up. We met up at that halfway point, and then had to drive back. I will say this, in person, Corbin was both shorter and thinner than I expected, and he was a little awkward at first, but after a while it got to be more like normal. So it was a lot more relaxed once we'd been hanging out for a minute, but obviously the first introduction was very interesting just to see the differences, right? Because you build up an idea in your head. Like, granted, I'd seen video of him before, but the video doesn't show you just how fucking thin he is and how short he actually... Like, he's not short, he's taller than me, but, like, you assume he's tall. Like, granted, he lied to me about his height before, but anyway, another thing that was worth mentioning is Corbin's stepdad, who dropped him off at the halfway point, said that I was bald. Like, I mean, my hair's thinning, but I'm not bald. Like, I'm definitely going to go bald, but I thought that was really funny. His mom thought I was fucking Jewish because of my hair, I guess? I don't fucking know. But that was really funny. We left in the morning, and then came back with him. And then we did that first stream. But, like, we also watched a bunch of SML videos on the TV in the motorhome, and we also smoked cigars, but that was all on stream. The smoking cigars was all on stream, so you've seen that, at least with the 2 streams we did. We also watched Ren and Stimpy and a few other things. I brought Ren and Stimpy up there as well as 28 Weeks Later, because Trevor still had my copy of 28 Days Later, and so we watched both while up there. Also, Trevor played the Five Nights at Freddy's movie one night while we were up there, and I watched that, and it was fucking terrible. Like, that movie was really bad. I'm gonna mention it in the next monthly movie recap. But suffice to say, every time Freddy Fazbear was on screen, I would go, guys, and shit like that, because of course I did. But it was way worse than I'd imagined. Like, I'm already not a fan of the games, but that movie was just fucking terrible. They literally, like, have this little girl that, like, is the sister of the main character, and, like, goes to work with him, and then fucking the animatronics see her, and they're like, it's a kid, we're kids, we're not gonna kill a kid. And then they spend, like, a third of the movie, like, palling around with the animatronics and being friendly with them, and they introduce these fucking burglars and shit. Like I said, I'll go more into this in monthly movie recap, but it's really, really fucking stupid. But what I thought would happen, right, is we'd go up there, then we'd go to the graduation, then we'd probably have a day with my parents and brothers, like, hanging out with my cousin or something, and then I figured we might have a day where just me and Kyler and Corbin could go do something. Boy, was I fucking wrong. As I said, we only brought up the one car in the motorhome, so... And for clarification, that car has 5 seats, and there were 8 of us after we picked up Corbin and then my 2 cousins came, so we couldn't all fit in the car at the same time, plus there was the dog. We couldn't really drive around with the motorhome and shit, so after we picked up Corbin, my parents and my brother Trevor left in the car, leaving us at the motorhome with Trevor's dog, Nezuko. So me, Kyler, and Corbin hung out in the motorhome, and we, like I said, we watched a bunch of SML videos. We did the first stream that first day. And then they're like, oh, hey, we're going to be back late. Like, my mom called me, and she's like, yeah, we're actually going to be back late. And then I'm like, okay, whatever. Which we had, like, fucking meat thawing in the sink because they were planning to cook shit. But then, obviously, we didn't do that, so I had to put that meat in the fucking cooler, and we used it the next night for Sloppy Joe's. By the way, I suggested that maybe we should have brought a third car, like maybe I should have brought mine or something, but of course that was dismissed pretty quickly. So that will come up later. But anyway, first day I was like, that's fine, you know, whatever. But then they came back with my cousin, and then it turned out that they got a motel room that my brother Trevor and 2 of my cousins would go stay at. And apparently that motel room was really fucking gross. Like, they had, like, moldy coffee in the coffee maker, and they found, like, a fucking pube on, like, one of the bed sheets and shit. Like, it was really bad. They got their money back, because of course they did, because fuck that. But, like, that was apparently really bad from what Trevor told me. But anyway, next day, I knew I had to take Corbin back, and we established a time that I needed to drop him off at the halfway point. And I thought, you know, maybe my family would be out for a couple hours, come back, and then we'd have a couple hours where me, Kyler, and Corbin could go do something. Because again, me, Kyler, and Corbin stayed in the motorhome pretty much this fucking entire trip, cooped up. So, really, this trip was a lot of driving and a lot of staying in the motorhome. It was really frustrating on that account. But, of course, they didn't fucking come back until right when I had to fucking leave. Right when I had to take him to the drop-off point. Which was really fucking frustrating. Most of what I got to do with Corbin was just hang out in the RV, and then we did those 2 streams. The second stream we did that second day, before I had to take him back, we read, Sigmund Freud and smoked cigars, as you probably have seen if you've watched that stream, the second episode of Rabid Red Eye Book Club, to be specific. Corbin actually brought a bunch of his philosophy and psychology books with him, just in case, and so we did do at least some of that. So, I mean, bright side, we got to do 2 streams, we got to meet up, that was cool, but I was really fucking disappointed that I didn't get to do a whole hell of a lot with Corbin. Some of the things I'd intended to do was go to a cigar lounge, go to some of the local restaurants, maybe check out a couple areas, but again, none of that got to happen, which was really, really frustrating. Because my family fucking hogged the car when, they kind of implied that wouldn't be the case and that it would be fine. And, we even took an extra day just in case so we'd have time to do shit, but no. No, they were gone fucking all day, both days, when we picked him up, they took the car and were gone until, midnight. We were gonna go to these restaurants and shit up there, too, but we ended up just going to a fucking IHOP the first night. Which, we have IHOPs all over the place here, so really not that fucking big of a thing. And then there was a Five Guys at the fucking halfway point that we went to, and we have Five Guys here. Their fries are a little bit different there. Their seasoning's actually a little better, I think, in Ohio than it is out here. But yeah, then of course, my parents asked me how things were, and I told them, well, I was fucking irritated because I've been cooped up in the motorhome the whole time. And so then my mom felt really guilty and kept saying, oh, you want to go do this, but it was already 9 o'clock because I had just dropped Corbin off and driven back after meeting up at the halfway point. And she kept, suggesting we go do these things, and I'm like, none of those places are open, and the moment's fucking passed. My cousin, who we were going out there to see for his graduation, had already returned home. Corbin, we had already taken home. So she's I get that she was trying to make it up to me, but it's it was overcompensating, too late. And I told her just let it go, and it was really, because, it's whatever. I'm not a child. I can fucking handle it, right? But they did ask me how it was, so I, of course, did express my disappointment. And so then, to make up for it on the way back, because the next day we had to leave, that was the thing, is we had to leave on Sunday to drive back here to make it back last night. But then we went, my mom decided she wanted us to do something as a family, so we went to this Mark Twain campground, where there's, this cave that Mark Twain used to, go and hang out in, and it's in the birthplace of Mark Twain in Missouri on the way. So we went and took a tour of that cave, and while we were there, I bought a couple of souvenirs. So we at least did something on the way back. We stayed in the campground there, which, by the way, there were cicadas that were really fucking loud, but luckily they quieted down around the time we went to sleep. But it was still really fucking annoying when we got there, how the cicadas were just making a ton of fucking noise. But I did buy some hot sauce and a honeycomb there that I'll do in a snack review at some point. And then we were back on the road, but one thing that was nice is the trip back, we did stay at campgrounds every single night, so we weren't staying in Walmart parking lots, which was nice, because that meant that the plumbing was completely hooked up. And something I neglected to mention is that the first 2 nights when we were staying in the Walmart parking lots, we had to use the motorhome's generator to watch the TV and stuff. But while we were there, the generator stopped working the second night while we were in the Walmart parking lot, unless my dad fixed it, which he really didn't want to do at the time. He's gonna do it before he takes the motorhome anywhere else, I'd imagine. I think it just needs the carburetor cleaned or something. It's something simple. I did also finish watching Ren and Stimpy Season 2 while we were up there, because admittedly, I still had a few episodes to go before I recorded my top 10 video, because I was pretty confident in my numbers, and I still am. But I definitely gotta add some addendums to the Powdered Toast Man section, because there's some stuff that I definitely should mention in that episode. But anyway, what I was saying before I went off on that tangent was the campgrounds were nice because they have power plugs, so we don't have to rely on the generator, so we could use it. One thing that my brother Kyler and I did on the drive up there, we listened to the entire radio series of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, all 6 seasons, which I've obviously listened to before and I did a review of a couple years ago. We listened to the first 3 seasons of it on the drive up there and the last 3 seasons on the drive back. So that was at least enjoyable on the car ride. So that's one of the highlights of the trip, was listening to that again. Another highlight, like I said, I guess would be the Mark Twain Cave, although it wasn't something that I was, like, super dying to go see, but my mom, like, really felt bad that, like, we didn't get to do as much as I would have wanted to do and was really trying to overcompensate, so we humored her and went through it, and it was fun, it was interesting. There was stuff I found interesting about it, obviously, but it was something, at least, I suppose. We also did go, while we were in that area, we went down to this, like, lighthouse that was at the pier, sort of, like, it was actually up on a hill. And it was in the same area, and we, like, went down by this riverboat and shit, like, at night. So, like, there was that. But, like I said, a lot of the trip was just sitting in the motorhome watching stuff and fucking also driving. Other than that, like I said, places we went to eat that were unique, like, there was this one restaurant in Missouri that was kind of cool, that I think it was called, what the fuck was it called? I don't remember what the hell it was even called now. But they had jambalaya pasta that was pretty good. But other than that, the places we went to eat were fucking Hardee's, which, by the way, you don't get Hardee's and Carl's Jr. in the same states. You have one or the other, typically, so that was interesting, because I didn't realize the menus were different. I just thought it was a name difference. So that was kind of cool, I suppose, to try Hardee's. Like, it wasn't a big deal. It's not that different from Carl's Jr. Like, it's just different menu items, but it's the same type of food. And then while we were up there, I did buy a couple of movies. I bought Return of the Living Dead. I bought The Wolf of Wall Street, and then some other movie that came with it in a double pack. And then I bought Death Wish and the Rush Hour trilogy. So I have those now. Those will be in the next collection update. I did watch Return of the Living Dead one of the nights while we were up there. We also rewatched Ratatouille, which I haven't seen in years. And, you know, that movie holds up pretty good. It's pretty funny. On the last day there, when we were heading back here and we woke up in our last campground, I noticed that Trevor's fucking dog had destroyed my wallet and my debit card. So now I have to go get a new debit card at the bank today before I go to work. And if you notice, I'm up a hell of a lot earlier today than I normally would be, which maybe you have no context for that, but my sleep schedule is usually fucking ass. But obviously I've been sleeping and waking up a lot earlier on this trip because, you know, we were driving most of the fucking time, so obviously. We did also listen to creepypastas a little bit the first night that Corbin was there, when we were still waiting for them to come back before we went to IHOP. We literally just had to cook fucking hot dogs on the stove to eat that day because none of the other shit was set up. Also, it rained, like, a lot up there, and really loudly at times, where we couldn't even fucking hear the TV at full volume with the fucking soundbar we bought hooked up there. Like, it was really annoying with the rain. So yeah, it was really... There were some annoyances. There were things I liked about the trip. Overall, there were things I liked. Obviously, I enjoyed meeting up with Corbin, even if we didn't get to do as much as I wanted. I enjoyed the Mark Twain Cave, even though it was just kind of a last-minute decision to just kind of do as an excuse to do something. But like I said, it was fun. Like I said, I'm not going to be a fucking negative Nancy little bitch about it, but there were definitely things about the trip that kind of annoyed me. Like I said, a lot of driving, a lot of staying in the motorhome. If I wanted to do that, I'd just go camping out here at my parents' property. So it was kind of annoying that, you know, we traveled across the whole fucking country just to fucking sit in the motorhome most of the time. Like I said, there were other things we did that were fun. Overall, it was a very mixed bag of a trip. I'm still glad I went, because I got to meet up with Corbin, and we got to do 2 streams together, so there's at least that. And it was nice to actually go somewhere with my entire family, like, with my parents. I haven't really done a whole lot with in the last couple of years since I moved out. Like, there hasn't been as much time because of my work schedule, and since we're not in the same house, there hasn't been as much time as a family, so I liked that. Again, it did disappoint me that a lot of the time they spent doing stuff as a family was when me and Kyler were cooped up in the fucking motorhome. But we did get to spend some time together, so that was at least something. I haven't done stuff with my whole family in a while, so I did enjoy that. The Mark Twain Cave was at least something. And overall, it got me 9 days off work. Which on a couple of those days kind of fucked over Theron, but I'm sure he'll make it up to me by taking a bunch of days off in the next few months. Also, I got paid more money doing this than I probably would have there, just because of how shit hours have been, and I got paid for 8 hours each day that I was gone. Anyway, I don't know if this story is really all that interesting, or if anyone actually gave a shit, but I figured I'd talk about my trip, since, you know, that's where I've been the last, 9 days. So I hope this was enjoyable. I hope I wasn't too bitchy. Yeah, I'm back home, and, I'm gonna work on that Ren and Stimpy review, so I'll see you guys, later.
What am I watching? I don't know, but I hate it.
Subscribe to VGT Red Eye.